save countless tax dollars, and that's so important because the dollars that we're losing are beyond anything that you can imagine. And the tax dollars that can be used to rebuild struggling American communities, including our inner cities.
Luke Bronin is the mayor of Hartford, and he joins us now. Mr. Mayor, thanks for coming on.
Good evening, Tucker. Good to be with you.
Good evening. So you've made the cabin. I used to live in Hartford, and so I've been following you, and I must say you seem more impressive than a lot of mayors the city has had, and I wish you well because I think it's a good city and it needs help. And I've been following your arguments on this, on sanctuary cities, and one of your arguments is familiar to me. It's that it will make the city safer not to bother people about their immigration status. And that's up for debate, of course, but the obvious question is, how many illegal immigrants in Hartford commit crimes, or how many crimes in the last year or two have been committed by illegal immigrants in Hartford?
Well, I talked to our police chief and I asked him, how much of the crime that occurs in this city is committed by undocumented individuals. The answer I get back is virtually none. Look, we are a city that is tackling our financial crisis head on. As you say, you were here a while ago. The city's been financially strapped for decades.
Yeah.
But for the first time in a long time, you got an administration that is tackling those financial issues head on, and we are fixing the structural stuff that needs to be fixed. While we're doing that, we've got to make sure that we're spending those dollars wisely. And that means prioritizing our law enforcement efforts on those people who actually pose a risk. People
right.
who, violent criminals, gang members, suspected terrorists. And we're going to continue to do that. But the way to spend those dollars wisely is not to allow our local law enforcement to be conscripted into serving as a dragnet to help round up undocumented individuals who pose no threat to anybody.
But how do you know they pose no threat? I mean, when you say virtually no crimes in Hartford are committed by illegal immigrants, what's the number?
What I'm telling you is that our police chief, who, I think a mayor should respect the judgment of a police chief on matters of public safety. Our police chief says that if we ask our police to start serving as the tip of the spear for federal enforcement agencies, not when we're talking about individuals who pose a threat,
you're missing my question.
In general, to help them round up undocumented individuals generally, they're concerned that that's going to hamper their ability to build relationships that allow them to get information
they don't get to make the policy
and keep the city safe.
They work for you. You make the policies. So they carry out your orders on that. And so when you devise your policy, I think you would want to know what the number is. Are you telling me you didn't get the exact number from your chief of police? Clearly they commit some. A lot of people commit crimes. How many were committed by illegal aliens last year in Hartford? And you're saying you don't know?
What I'm telling you is that just like the International Association of Police Chiefs, which came out with a strongly worded letter and said that mandating local law enforcement to serve as a dragnet to try to focus enforcement efforts on people who pose no threat is not the way to keep cities safe.
What do you mean pose no threat? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt your filibustering here, Mr. Mayor. You don't know the number. So when you say they pose no threat, you can't back it up. Now let me say,
you're misunderstanding me, Tucker. What I'm saying is we're going to target those individuals who we know have committed crimes. We are going to target, if we find somebody who's an undocumented individual and that person is a violent criminal, we want that person deported. Just like if we've got someone who's involved in gang activity, or if we've got somebody who is a suspected terrorist, we want to partner with the feds to get those people out.
But what you're saying, and I asked you at the outset, is what is the scope of the problem? Now, we know that there are a lot of crimes committed in America by people here illegally, and by the way, it just so happens that the top news story at foxnews.com right now is this from Bridgeport, a city not far away. Oscar Hernandez accused of killing his girlfriend and taking off with their daughter. He was caught by ICE officers, federal officers in your city, Hartford, 2013, deported. He came back. So this is a real thing. So for you to say virtually no crimes are committed by illegal aliens without knowing the actual number seems a little irresponsible.
You're proving my point exactly. You're proving my point exactly, which is that's exactly the kind of person that we ought to be prioritizing. State, local, and federal partners working together to prioritize people who have records of violent crime. That individual had a long record of violent crime. That individual was deported under the Obama administration. That's exactly the kind of person we want to work together to get rid of.
The feds grabbed him,
under Connecticut law,
they did so with the help of local authorities. That's the whole point. And you're saying my cops should not be helping the feds do this.
No. You are not. You're either not listening or you're intentionally misleading. But what I'm saying is that's exactly where our cops are going to work hand in hand with the feds to get that person out of here.
But you don't even know the scope of the problem. Look, you know exactly what's going on as well as I. You don't want to offend a political constituency, and so you're saying we are taking a stand.
You're telling me, time out. You're telling me that a political constituency is undocumented individuals, or
I am saying, look, you know exactly what I'm saying. It's politically unpopular for you to say you're in any way cooperating with the Trump administration on this divisive issue. And I'm saying, as I have from the beginning, that you don't know the scope of the problem because you didn't ask your police chief how many crimes in Hartford were committed by people here illegally. How can you make policy without knowing that number?
Police chief, and this is what I'm going to respect his judgment on. What I've asked my police chief is, do you want your police officers to become responsible for asking victims of crime or witnesses of crime about their immigration status so they're afraid to share information? Do you want to be detaining people who haven't committed any crime simply on the basis of their immigration status?
If you ask questions that are that politically
because he believes it's going to make it harder for his police officers to do their job.
Shouldn't you get the numbers before you devise policy? I mean, you're a smart guy. Shouldn't you get the numbers?
What you should do, I think what I should do as mayor, and I think what you should do as whatever you are, is consult those people who are actually in law enforcement. And the International Association of Police Chiefs has a very clear view
just
on
ask for opinions. You know, Mr. Mayor, I'll stick with numbers because I take my job seriously.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
So do you have the numbers?
You won't give them up. That's why I don't have them. I wish I did. You didn't even ask your police chief. When you get those numbers, send them to me. And if they really are negligible, I'll be willing to apologize. Thanks. Up next, plenty of Hollywood stars at the moment.